Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to go to cran.r-project.org. We want to not select the Mac OS, we want to select the download R for Windows. We're given a few options here. We click base, we click download R 4.0.1 for Windows at this point, though you'd always grab the latest version at the time you are downloading. Once we've got that downloading, we can go over to rstudio.com and we can download the Rstudio Ide. We've got a few versions here we can download. We're going to choose the free desktop download. Download Rstudio for Windows, of course. Save that file. Now once we've downloaded those files, looks like I've downloaded twice here, but presumably only download once. And try to install R for Windows 4.0.1. We click yes, we're willing to do that. Select English. Click next. Go with the default option. This stage, I don't think there's any reason to install 32-bit files, so I unselect those. But everything else, I just accepted the defaults. Let that install. Takes a few minutes. This is actually sped up, this portion of the video. This is running on a virtual machine, and it seemed that the screen recording actually slowed it down quite a bit, so this was actually quite slow, this part. Okay, we'll click that one. Now we're going to go and install Rstudio. Yes, we want to install that. Go with the default location, the default menu folder, and let it do its thing. Seems to be quite a large package, Rstudio on Windows. It's a large package on Linux or Mac OS 2, but just seems to be a bit larger on Windows, perhaps because a bunch of the frameworks and so forth need to be installed with Rstudio. Okay, that's Rstudio setup done. And now we're just going to test things out a little bit. But first, before we do that, we're going to delete the download files. We don't need those anymore. Bang. Then go and type Rstudio into the search box to run Rstudio. Open up Rstudio. At this point, the first thing we want to do is we just want to install some packages that we'll need for some basic analysis. In particular, dplyr, dbplyr, which I'm never quite sure whether it's installed with dplyr. The R Postgres package, which will allow us to access the Word's PostgreSQL database. And one package, the AskPass package, that we'll use in this case just to shortcut the process of entering the password. I don't normally use that package myself, but for today's exercise I will. So we install those packages. So it's a matter of going to the Packages tab in Rstudio, clicking Install, typing the names of the packages we're interested in separated by commas, and then clicking OK. These packages will install from binaries, so they should be quite quick. Things are a little bit slow again here because this is my virtual machine running with screen recording on, and things were just not very snappy in that configuration. Okay, so we've installed the packages. Now we can go up to this code that I happen to have already typed, and this will just allow us to illustrate how we can use Rstudio and R code to access the data on the Words PostgreSQL database. So we're going to run through this code by selecting the first line and hitting Control Enter to run line by line. It looks like I did it twice for the first line, but that's harmless in this case. So the first two lines we're just calling the libraries we're going to be using, and then I'm basically going to set the parameters I'm going to use to connect to the Words database, which are basically my Words ID, my Words password, which I'm going to type in now. Normally you can configure things so that the password is set on a per server basis in a personal configuration file, which is quite easy to set up. But just to keep today simple, I'm just going to type in my password. I have one of those automatically generated passwords that I don't remember, so I'm typing this off my phone. And I'm using environmental variables to connect to the database. This is quite handy because it's one way that you can keep those set environment code could be separate from the rest of the code. So I connect to the database, and then I'm going to connect to the daily stock file in Crisp. I'm going to take a quick look at that data. So this is quite a large table. If I were actually importing this into R, it would take a significant amount of time. As it is, it's taking a little bit of time just because of the delay with this slow setup I have on this computer. But there you can see I've got the snapshot of the data on the daily stock file, and there's a snapshot of the data on the daily stock index file.